All right, it's on. Hooray. Okay, so everybody please gather around. I'm going to show you, like I was saying, the mechanics of acrylic paint. Gather around so you can see. Close, close, close. Close, close, close. It's more funner when you're close around. All right, are we ready? Are you going to be able to pay attention with your computer open like that? All right. All right, so thing number one. Acrylic paint is that kind of thing that, like, if it gets on your clothes, it's not coming out. Like, you can catch it if you get it on your clothes when it's wet, you can blot it out. But if it dries on there, it's there forever. So there are aprons over there. There are also some aprons in the ceramic studio. Haha, I have an apron here. So I'm going to put on an apron because I kind of like this shirt and I kind of like this tie. But it's up to you. It's up to you. If you don't want to wear an apron, you're not required to. Now, I have found that one of the easiest ways to clean up is to try not to make a huge mess to begin with. And so there's a bunch of these, like, you remember the drawings that we did before? We've got all these that, the drawings nobody wanted to take home, which is fine because we'll use them as, a workspace. So then that way, if paint comes off of your canvas or it comes off of your palette, it's no big deal. At the end of class, we can probably use these for 2 or 3 class periods, but in the end, we can just throw them away rather than you having to sit here and, like, clean off the table at the end of every class. But it's up to you. If you want to wipe off the table every single class period, I won't argue with you. All right, so acrylic painting, what we're going to do today, there's sort of I'm just going to talk about the materials. There's kind of like a mechanics to it. And so what I want to do is just introduce the mechanics to you. And then we'll talk more about, like, techniques with the brush. And we'll talk about how the color works and everything like that later on. All right, so what you'll need is some paint brushes. I personally like the more firm, stiff paint brushes. But again, it's up to you. You can use the soft ones if you want. It's just a matter of how you mix the paint down. You'll need some water. All right, a rule. All right, the rule is with acrylic paint, if you're not, like, actively engaged in the process of putting paint on the canvas, then it should be in the water. All right, it dries super fast. So if your paintbrush has paint on it and you leave it on the table and it sits there for like 15 minutes before you use it again, that paint will be dry and the brush will be all yucky. All right, now the one of the things you need to know about it is acrylic paint turns into plastic when it's all done. So what happens is, like, little tiny bits of plastic get wrapped around the bristles on the paintbrush, and if that happens, then the paintbrush is mostly no good anymore. You can't use it for anything nice. So if it's always kept in the water, you're good. All right? You'll need a palette. I've got a couple of different types of palettes. For acrylic paint and for oil paint, you want a flat palette, okay? Not like the watercolor ones with the little cups. You want a flat palette. If you don't want to use these nice plastic ones, right, you have to clean them off so they're all clean at the end of class, all right, at the end of every class. If you don't want to do that, there are these wax palettes, yes, paper palettes. This is both for oil paint and for acrylic paint. You can just tear off a sheet like that, and then there you go. And then rather than clean it off at the end of class, goes in the garbage can. All right. So with acrylic paint, you'll need something to paint on. So we're going to do canvas, and we're going to do we'll do like some canvas board and things. But for practice, we're going to use this is called canvas paper. It's really just like some cheesecloth that's stretched over a piece of cardboard. Cheesecloth is, well, here, I'll show you in a moment. But it's like a really thin cotton, like it's got a I don't know, like an open weave to it or something like that. So just this. Yeah, you see how there's a little cloth. It's got it behaves like canvas. So for today, just use this stuff, right? And actually, this stuff is okay. Like you can use this stuff to like make final paintings on. And it's nice and it's cheap and it's easy to use. All right? So you'll need something to paint on. You'll need water in a cup. You'll need a palette of sorts. So here's how acrylic paint works. All right? Acrylic paint, you've got two different things. You've got the paint and you've got a vehicle. Would you like me to set that down for you? Yes, of course. You can use the paint right out of the jar if you want, or you can mix it with a medium. All right? Now, the mediums do all sorts of different things. This one here says, well, here, I'm going to get a more common one. This one here says clear tar gel, and it makes it kind of like thins the paint out. It makes it kind of shiny and slick and smooth. This one here is regular gel matte. Matte means the opposite of glossy, kind of like a dull finish, right? This will give the paint sort of a dull finish. There's another one that's gloss around here. It's probably over there. Here's one that says glass bead gel. If you open it up, it's got tiny little glass beads in it. See? Lynn and Puck can attest to that. Would you like to see Aurora?
It does look like it.
And it'll actually give your paint like a kind of beaded, glassy texture. Pretty fun, hey? And there's like all different kinds. There's a sand type, there's a black lava, they're endless. What the real purpose, like what I like about the tar gel and the matte and the gloss medium, is they make your paint go a bit further. They make your paint more translucent, they make it smoother. I think, personally, makes it nicer to paint with. What you should do today is play around with both different types. So, here's how it works. Take a popsicle stick or a palette knife if you can find one, all right, and scoop out some of your gel medium, right onto your palette. Yeah, right there on the palette, all right? And then, now, you can put, if you've got like a popsicle stick or that's more like a tongue depressor, or a palette knife, and it's got gel medium on it, you can put it right into the paint. That's not a big deal. What you can't do is if you've got one of these with paint on it, don't put it right into the gel medium, because then the gel medium becomes that color. All right? So, and then scoop up. All right, this paint has gone bad on us. This happens. Some of this paint is old. We bought some new stuff, so there should be plenty of new great colors out there. Like this one is pretty nice, right? And you just kind of scoop some up. Also put it onto your palette. Now you may mix the gel right into the paint if you want, or I like to just kind of like leave the gel and the paint next to one another, right? And sort of pull some of the paint over towards the gel and then mix the gel so that you have, like you're kind of mixing it as you go. All right? See, this is why we use a flat palette rather than one with little cups in it, because with the cups it sort of builds up and you gotta like mix it out. If you use a flat palette, you can kind of stretch it out, and it's really great. I'll show you in a moment. It's really great for mixing colors and mixing really like subtle effects of color. Acrylic paint, it can do a lot of different things. You can sit down and like with a really heavy, thick paint, start in and actually paint something finished, like, I don't know, a can of beans or something.
Ooh, that's
all right? Now, I don't quite have enough range of color here to do a finished can of beans, but you get the idea, hopefully. So there's my old tin can. One of the neat things about the gel medium is that it'll kind of make your paint smoother, so that like if your paint's not flowing the way you want it to, add a little gel medium, or you can even just dunk your brush in the water, and that'll kind of make it flow. There's my very, very simple can of beans. Maybe we'll do an apple along with it. We got a good apple. Well, we're going to make an orange apple. We'll make it a persimmon, not an apple. A persimmon, right?
Do you have permission to make a persimmon?
You may make today you can paint anything you want. All right, so there's my persimmon orange. And because I have some of the gel medium already on the palette here, I'm just going to pick some right up. Try not to get it into blue. And mix it with my orange. And, I don't know, persimmon, they kind of like bold, they have like two little bumps in them, right? Aurora, worry not about your computer. Worry about painting. All right, so I think my point is you can paint sort of direct with the acrylic paint if you want. However, I'm going to encourage you to also try out one of the really neat things about acrylic paint is that it kind of works like oil paint, only it works at a much faster pace. You can make really thin areas of color and slowly build up. So do you recall how we did glazing with watercolors, right? Where you put a really thin layer of paint and you let it dry and you put another thin layer of paint over the top of it and you let that dry and the colors kind of optically combine to give you different shades and different tones. So here's another persimmon here. Acrylic paint works the same way, and it works in a little bit more, I don't know, more delicate way, I guess is the way to go, the way to say it. Now I'm not going to make you sit here and watch paint. Yes, watch paint dry. That's no fun.
It's not even a metaphor at this point.
It's not a metaphor. It's actually watching paint dry. But here we go. See, I can paint in some of the shadow. Or I have like a silly painting that I hardly work on over here. To show you kind of how I've been going about it. So I painted like one layer. Nice catch. Right? I painted one layer, right? Actually, it's about 2 layers of what's all going to happen. And I'm slowly building up the layers for this painting. Let's see. Let's add, I don't know what I want to add. I'm going to pick up some more. I like the regular today. Yay. It's creamy looking, right? Creamy and delicious. La la la. I guess I'm gonna add a little orange since I've got the orange out. I'm gonna add a little orange to. You okay over there, Aurora? It doesn't sound like it. Cast all your concerns aside for other things, Aurora. Think about painting. Well, you are thinking about painting. How about that? You are thinking about painting, so I see. All right, so I've mixed a really thin orange here because for no good reason, I want to highlight some of the yellow with some orange. Right? And so I'm just going to put little bits of orange over the top of the spots on the octopus for fun. It works like watercolor. That's the point. This is good practice for getting ready to work with oil paint because oil paint does this really nicely. Like acrylic paint kind of does it pretty not bad. Oil paint, this is a technique called glazing. Oil paint really does it nicely. You can get really gorgeous sort of colors out of oil paint. So one of the neat things, right, that I'm doing here is because we know this already, right? Purple and orange are both secondary colors. They're part of a triad, right? And orange and yellow are analogous. They're next to each other. So since I've got some purple down on there already and next to some yellow, which are complements, All right. I'm excited about it, even if you're not. What I'm doing is I'll put a little like of the orange over the top of the yellow, and it makes like a yellow-orange color. And then as it goes into the purple, when you mix two colors from a triad together, they sort of make a brownish-grayish color, like a dull color. So I get a combination of a nice bright, like analogous combination next to that combination of triad. Okay, so that's enough for today. Here's what you are challenged with. Set yourself up. Make a couple of little paintings. Play around. Really what I want you to get familiar with is like just how like getting a workflow together. How you can get medium on the page, onto the palette, and get paint in there and mix it together. Get a feel for how it mixes. Get a feel for how it works right out of the jar. You can paint anything you want today. Don't paint one thing and then say, teacher finished, all right? You're finished at the end of class, so no matter how many you make, be it 1 or 15, all right? Your goal is to paint for the whole class period and have a good time doing it. Go. The scissors, some right here.